This might be a little. No, I think that's good. All right. Man, I always think about things to try and go over, and then I just get in here. I'm like, I don't know. Um, a couple streams ago, I had one. It's funny the way the feeling about the streams go because, and just the games in general, because they're not really rational. A couple streams ago, I won every game during the stream, and there's like no negative feelings, obviously, about that string. And then the next one didn't do as well, probably lost more than one. But like, there was a game in the series of games where I won all of them, where I just hung a queen, had a winning position, just hung a queen, and opponent missed it, so I won. But I shouldn't feel good. Like, why should I feel better about that because I won? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Uh, but this stream, I got my goose shirt ready to go, so that'll power us through this stream. Um, the I wanted to go over. I had a fun little game. I mess around on Chess for faster time controls, just to play around and do different openings and stuff. Um, Also helps a little bit to sometimes do faster time controls to try and speed up my thinking because I like to go slowly. I like to move a little slow. Um, I don't have my chat open actually, so let me make sure I get that open. Uh, let's see. Okay, there we go. Got that visible for me. Um, Had a game where I played a bit more of my usual repertoire, but had a nice combination that I'll highlight and feel good about. So let me just switch over to the openings board if I have that open. Is this right? Where's the right board for that? Too many things open. I don't know where that is. It's not updating. I'll need to double check if it's. No, it's still not showing up on the stream correctly. Just a moment here. I think we have to open up a new window and point it to that. Oh, there we go. It's like now it's cooperating. So it looked like this. I don't have the game here in chess.com. It was a Lichess game. Yeah. So went like that. Hey, I am. Hey, cowboy. How it going? So this was a game from the other day. Bishop, pawn, move him over. Castle, he took. Um, and he castled, moved down f5, take en passant, bishop takes, rook, bishop c3. And then e5. And it's really nice because actually looking back through the time, um, I spent 6 seconds on my move and then played the next three instantly. Um, he thinks he has a breakthrough here because of his three defenders. I have I just have 2 attackers plus the pawn, so he's assuming if I take, I can't recapture. But we got this tactic here, which is a defender. So if we remove the defender, the queen's undefended. So what ended up? So I took, he took, I take, he takes, I take, he takes, and then there's the killer blow. Undefend the queen, take the queen. Game went on a little longer after that, but that's where the winning point was. So that was nice being able to sort of spot that combination from this position here. But I'm going to go into analysis. I've been finding I find the Slav openings really annoying, so I'm going to start reviewing that a bit more to get into a more comfortable position. So I was looking at this a bit earlier about what options I might have. So from here, there's a few different options. He can semi-Slav immediately. He can bring out the knight. He can bring out the bishop to F or G. So those are all sort of branching paths that we can look at. So the knight is going to be sort of the most expected version. From here, queen c2. So if we get this position, queen c2 is blocking this bishop from developing to this f5 square, which is its natural square. What I was looking at earlier, and I'm going to look at a bit more now, is what happens if, since I blocked the bishop from developing to f5, if he goes to g4. So knight to e5, if he wants to keep this bishop, that's a hideous square there on e6. So pretty much you're going to go back to h5. And you're not expecting, if the usual. So normally if you do this, you might, consider that happening. But if we're in the position I'm talking about, you're not really going to see g4 right now. So I think it's pretty likely that you see that retreat. From there, takes. And the move I was really looking at, for this position, which I think is a pretty natural position that could come up without it being weird, is e4 here. So this gets really complicated and weird. So let's show the lines on this. So the key thing here is that this diagonal is open and the knight is attacking on d7. And we've also got the queen here being able to check and control this c-file. So if he takes, which seems pretty natural, you've got some options. Let me update the depth here because 15 is not enough for what we're doing. So with a take, you can go bishop. You've seen knight b to d7. You're already looking not bad. You're getting a little bit of an advantage. You still can't move. It's awkward. And you kind of have to play a6. But there's a lot of, there are more options here. I remember seeing actually multiple lines with g4 in it, and I'm trying to remember how I got there. Oh yeah, it was knight c3 is the move that I liked more than bishop b5. Bishop b5 is fine, it's good, but knight c3 creates many more complications because if you don't play a6 here, which this move is fine even if they play a6, but if you don't play that, if you play something else, suddenly you're going to walk into some problems. So if you play e6, you can see bishop b5 is a lot stronger now because if you play knight across, now this pin exists, so bishop g5, you kind of need both of these knights in place. If you go across, you just take the knight. If he takes back, well, now you can just take this knight. Queen, if you take with the queen, then you just lose your queen. So that's a completely natural move. And even if you make the better move, which is F to D7, you don't want to do that. Look at this. It's almost +3 here, just because you just take this pawn. And now look at these threats we've got going on here. This knight ready to come in. Got an open diagonal here. So that's got to be great. So E6 is like a blunder. If you play knight C6, you know, straight up bishop B5 is pretty good here. You protect with the rook. You can bring in the queen. And this is just a lot of pressure here. You can see it's not a huge win, but when you're over +1, you're feeling pretty good about your development. If you develop to D7, which is also an option, there's queen B3 is what it ends up suggesting there. If he takes, then you're just driving off this knight back to D7, and suddenly you're kind of getting into some trouble here. There are multiple good moves. I'm trying to remember what the G4 line was. There's one line where G4 was a really good move. Yeah, Cowboy, that Herman Cain clip, I sent him a Daily Show clip from way back when Herman Cain was running for president and he was dropping out. And he decided to quote the Pokemon movie in his farewell speech. That was that's how to do it. You could bring the bishop back to try and protect the pawn, and of course, you know, again, this is not looking great. Again, you have to go. This is saying F is better. Nobody's going to do that. Knight D5. So if he takes, you take, because that's the only move. Because you've removed the defender if you take here. And if you don't take, and attack the queen. Yeah. So there's a lot of rough. Yeah, the quote was in fact from the movie credits. Yeah, the Donna Summer song over the Pokemon 2000 credits. But it sounds funny, but like a lot of kids material is actually like morally conscious. Like they're trying to say good things to teach children like good lessons that everybody just sort of forgets when they grow up. But at that point, they're still trying. I wish I could remember what line G4 was good for, though, because that's a really funny move. I was looking at that. G4. Oh, yeah, if he declines it. So if he doesn't take. What should I do if he doesn't take? Um, uh, all right. Well, that's enough on that particular line. As I said, there are other lines here, so you can go into a semi-Slav at this point, and I think the angle here is going to be going into the fianchettoed position. Actually, probably something like this is more common from what I see from my opponents. The problem I have in these positions isn't so much the lines that happen, it's what the transition goal is looking like. And one of the problems there is you can have breakthroughs through the center, or you can have pushes through the queen side. And sometimes black will be able to try and put on pressure here on the king side, but at least that's not part of your plan, or part of my own plan. But trying to maneuver where I should be going and when is a little, still trying to get a handle on in some of these positions. Yeah, in classical variations, I play knight to c3, but here it will make more sense to be on d2. The line here has that before development of the bishop, which is interesting. That suggests to me we're going to play and fianchetto both bishops. Yeah. So how does an example of the main lines look like for this? So if he pushes capture. All right, all right. Okay, and then I'm going to switch over to puzzles here. I wanted to go through some uh, casual training puzzles so I can just walk through what I'm looking at when I'm solving a puzzle without worrying about, because the ranked ones have timers and Puzzle Rush, obviously you're just blasting through and can't really communicate anything. So puzzle's the first thing to check. First thing to check are checks. Look at any checks that you have. So the queen can check multiple ways. I believe those are the only ones we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways. Wait, 5. 5 different checks that the queen could do. Are any of them good? Do any of them fork anything? I don't immediately see anything. You hit this diagonal, there's nothing on that diagonal. Obviously, these are just sacking a queen. That's just walking into the queen and rook. And then the second look, if you're not finding any not finding any checks, is to look at the captures. The rook can capture the pawn, queen can capture the pawn, queen can capture a pawn, queen can capture pawn, queen can capture rook. Yeah, keep in mind these two are checked. But what can really mess with you are when they throw in defensive ones. So if like defense is just check and then move the rook so you don't lose the rook. uh, Obviously not here, but somewhere else. All right. Let's see if we can find a solution here, though. It's tough to be active. The only active piece here is the queen. This rook is just blocked. There's no way to attack the queen with the rook other than this, which then you can just check with the queen, and that's problematic, to say the least. Defensively, you can take a pawn, but you're still giving up that rook. Hmm. This is a tricky one. There's no mate threats, so there's not like a back rank here where if the knight takes the queen, you can back rank mate. That's obviously not the case. It's wide open. There's defenders. There's not really any sacking potential. It has to be, if you check here, you can then maneuver somehow. Is there anything that you can force to make happen? These rooks protect each other, so there's no way to pick one of them off with just the queen. This knight's protected twice. Man, I don't know on this one. I'm just gonna confirm that it's not just a okay, is it just a defense puzzle? Do I just have to then take a pawn and that's it? Or move over and defend the back rank? Go here, forces them back to one of these. And still no follow-up. Uh, uh, no, it doesn't like that. And my other candidate, no. So I don't know what it's going for. Oh, that would threaten the queen. And if he takes, open up the rook. Nope. I have no clue. Let's see what the hint is. It says move the queen, so what did that gain me? What? What? Why'd he go to a different place? Like, wouldn't you just repeat? If you're playing correctly, wouldn't you just repeat? Wouldn't you just go back? I I don't get this at all. What? The the comments do not help explain what's going on with that puzzle. What? All right. Well, at least it's rated 2410. Next puzzle. Well, if we go check, take, we win the exchange. But then he can take the rook. So if you take check there, check back. No, no real follow-up there. Start with the rook. If he takes, then check is bad. That if we take with the rook, if he takes that rook, then taking back is bad for him. So that doesn't work. If we take with the rook, he takes with the rook. Take with the bishop check, I can defend. So just take with the rook. All right. Let's see. For this one, we're playing as white. We've got a queening option here, but it's protected by the queen. I mean, that wins the queen. But the threat here is this queen on the diagonal. So that's actually going to be back rank mate in 2, rook to a1 check, and then you have to bring your queen back because this queen is protecting. So we need to play a move that checks. So we could promote to a knight. That would check. Promote to knight. Only reasonable move. Queen, check. Can't go there. I think that's actually the solution. Promote to knight. All right. All right. So the queen's threatening the queen. Actually, these checks aren't very good. We've got a check down here. I don't see how that converts. Oh, yeah. Check, remove the defender, take the queen. All right. So that doesn't look like it has any defenders. This looks like it's just an easy one. Uh, check, moves them back. Checkmate, right? No. What am I misreading? I don't know what I'm misreading with that. There's also bishop takes, which has to be the move. But this seemed like unnecessarily difficult. Let's see. If I go here, he can go back and I can check, and then mate. Uh, am I confused or is there just that seemed like it had multiple solutions, but whenever I think that, I'm usually wrong. So, okay, gonna switch over to a game and see how it goes. All right, French time. Oh, playing one of these. All right, what we got? You played. No, you're gonna play the weird version. All right. So weird version, go. s- hmm. So I'm looking at moving the d pawn up to block these squares because the knight actually can't develop to this square right now. So if he wastes time moving the bishop again, that's a gain of tempo. I can move the pawn up, he plays c, and then we trade off. Now that will open up this diagonal a bit. So that's sort of that's one of the question marks, but about that. But also, of course, doing that is not developing my own piece. If he develops, then I move it. Then he moves. Um, take. That kind of blocks off this again, though we can then move it up. Uh, but let's play it. Let's block that off a little bit. We need to play the bishop in front, so that isn't check, and we can castle. So that'll open up this diagonal for the bishop. So these should be prime targets here. Got isolated pawns in both places. So like knight to b4 threatens that pawn. You play queen over. I don't know, that's what you want to do. This is probably a good idea. Yeah, if he wants to weaken that position, by all means. Hmm. That's kind of weird. Often you're on c2. Now this pawn is locked up, so you don't have the normal diagonal, though. Yeah, the queen could move up at that point, or up to here. Let's line these up, shall we? So we're going to get the rook on the same file as the queen. Keep that queen pinned, and keep a pin on that attack going. So is that a blunder? No. You can still go here. So knight attacks, queen moves over, knight takes. Yeah, that works. No, 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 no. That's not defended. The rook. Nuts. Let's see. I want to be active here. So if I pawn, he can either sack, which can't be good, or take. Let's goad him into taking. Okay. So we can make this knight a little more active. Attack that bishop, force him back. Getting low on time, I might have to move a little quicker. Yeah, I've almost used half my time. So we're gonna go after that. The queen has to move over. We can take. Probably could have done this moves earlier. I didn't process this quite correctly. I do wonder if the engine preferred knight c to b4 or knight d to b4. D to d4 might have been better. I like that this knight can develop to one of these squares, like if the b pawn moves. Yeah, this has to be. Funny move now would be knight d to b4. I don't think that would be good. That'd be risky. So it would kind of lock in the queen, because if the queen wanted to move here, then it would just be opening up that fork. And also, this pin is back in place. This knight is also attacking b2. Catching up on time now. That is a fascinating choice. That is a fascinating choice. Okay. I think my plan would be take that bishop and then take this. Yeah. Yeah. Certainly nice having those nested knights, but I suppose you can take with the queen now and win that pawn. So there's that. He takes with the queen. Hmm. Now that's safe. Queen's just attacking the pawn. Feels like there should be something a little more clever available. Ooh. Queen to b6. So that would hang the bishop. Nuts. Okay, well, make the move that we need to make. Yeah. Now, do I play there or I play there? I'll probably want to keep the queen on the board. try and move a little more quickly. I'm still down a bit in time. Probably should have just developed the bishop out, but I want to attack the queen. About the bishop takes. Actually, let's push that pawn. Yeah. Trying to find a way to coordinate these pieces. Attack this rook on the diagonal. I can move the queen up. So then he would fork. I'm attacking the queen. I should have taken with the bishop first. Move too quickly. Okay. Take control of the open file. Up a pawn, got the two bishops down in time. Nope, can't do that. All right. Probably here next. I didn't see that. And if I go here, then this queen would be hanging. Shoot. Got some infiltration potential here. So you've got this check here. That's tough. Actually, right, I can't actually move there. But hang on. Why is it doing that? Stop it. Why is it not showing my moves? It's not highlighting the available squares, but see how it does that? And it wasn't doing that for the bishop. It's throwing me off. That means there's a check here on the back rank now too. Okay, well not now. Nope. Covered. Covered. Okay, let's do this. No, not that. Happy to trade off pieces now. If we trade the bishops, or if he moves along that diagonal, then if the knight develops, I'll trade. He moves that down. So I'm going to go here. Offer to trade queens. Block any checks. Okay. Better be able to win this one. They're going down and behind the pawn. Got a spot. Look for the forks every time. Now I can have threats on both sides. All right. All right. Do this the nice, easy way. All right. Whew. That requires some looking through. So let me see what I can bring up. Analysis board. Let's take a look at that one. So the graph here, I had a good position the whole game. It started to come back a little bit, and then he just hung a piece, and that was it. So I called this a weird one because normally you see d5 here, and we go into a French exchange. Instead, he plays d6, and that's just a little weird. So normally you're not seeing me play c4, but since he played d6, I'll take a bit more control of that center. And here it's just like, I don't know about that one. All right, good choices all around. Engine's recommending bishop f5. just attacking the pawn. That probably would have made sense. I was playing bishop g4 out of habit. Whenever this fianchetto is here, I love having this pin because um, pushing off with h3 I think is bad. Um, then you kind of are forced into this king h2 move. It's a little clunky. But just attacking that weakness that I pointed out during the game, so I knew about it. I knew that was the plan. I didn't listen to myself. And if I go back to his move, as I mentioned, that looked a little off. I liked queen b3. So that move felt wrong, but I wasn't able to exploit it. The engine will tell me that I should have played knight b4 now. Again, yes, you have that attack, knight b4. Let's see how it goes because it's not necessarily obvious immediately what the follow-up is here to me. So knights, oh right, because you're protected by the rook. Knight c2 attacks the rook undefended. So you kind of have to like develop your knight and then just let it attack, but then you'd be forking the rook and the queen. So and this is where I say I should have played it earlier. That was the one I was thinking about. I could have played it a move earlier. There it is. Take, take. Take, take. Engine improved. Honestly, I didn't even... That wasn't even in my head for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, if I just attack the pawn. So what does this look like? Oh, it doesn't want that as a follow-up. Queen f6. Oh, there we go. So that's why I was not looking at that. My choice to push the pawn, it approves. That's good. Should have taken a move earlier. Okay. So I shouldn't have taken with the bishop here first. Take, take. I kept looking for queen lifts and didn't find the right time. That was the right time. So that's my main blunder, was in queen a5. There was still big tactical advantage that I didn't know was there at this point. Right, because this bishop's pinned. Just simply rook d7. There's no... You'd have to do something like rook c5 to add a defender, but then simply, like, you can just move it with bishop e7. You could also move the bishop and add another attacker. You attack, you lose the... Well, oops. You lose the queen. So I missed it, and he missed his opportunity. Knight f1. Knight f1. All right. And then he just sacks a rook. And then it's just trade down and win the end game for me. Oh, is this not even showing the right board? Ah. I even set up the boards and it just viewed the wrong thing. Ah. I'll get the hang of this setup eventually. There's the d6 instead of d5. That's what makes it weird. Going through quickly after all that. Here, bishop f5 attacking the pawn would have been better. You know, as I said, that's an isolated pawn that should be attacked, and then I didn't follow my own advice. I could have done better here just by knight b4 now, because it's threatening a fork. The queen is forced off of here. Um, and if knight b4, and the queen, say, defends, the knight's protected here by the rook, and we'll get that rook. Here, I straight up did not see being able to take the rook. Missed the tactic there to pin the bishop. And he just sacks the rook, and then it's easy. All right. Playing board, let's do another. Another black. All right. Standard French defense going on here. All right, that's the Paulsen. I like the Yuva variation, the bishop d7, and he falls into that mistake. Okay, takes, move the knight, capture back with the knight, and suddenly you're better. Okay. Should I? Right. I should just develop to F. It's one of those scenarios where when this stuff happens, I'm never quite. I have to. You know, the more unusual variations. It takes me a second to remember what I should be doing in those scenarios. Capture now. I just can't seem to resist recapturing with the knight in places where I don't think it makes sense. Probably just move back. Yeah. And then start pushing. Presumably if he's going to spend all that time moving around his knight, he wants to trade off for the bishop. Kind of force his hand. Because if he doesn't take it this round, then I'm going to add an extra attacker onto the pawn. I looked at moving the bishop. I don't really like those squares. I'd rather Be proactive. Oh, I didn't see that. That goes from a winning position to maybe a slightly losing position. That clears up. That'll win a pawn. Whoa, what was the point of that? What the heck is he doing? Oh, he moved the knight back. Man, I didn't process that quite. Hmm. Hmm. I would like to be able to move, like, clear this path for my queen. If I played that and he moved past, then I could move my knight across if he takes it, check. And that would be forced mate. That's really convoluted. Okay, let me, if I check here, is there any defense? No. So hopefully he doesn't spot that. Okay, he had an escape square. But this still might be mateable. So check. He moves. Check. Oops. He moves here. Check. Actually, I can move. Yeah, with the bishop. Moves here, only moves still. Queen back to h6 check. King can move to here, only move. Check. Okay. Okay. That's mate. I think I see mate, so let's do it. Unless he takes with the queen. And then this is mate, right? Yes! Yes! How many moves was that? I think that's the furthest I've seen mate in a real game. Calculated all to the end. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mate and 6. Though, to be fair, he could have taken with. That's only if he doesn't take with the queen. If he takes the pawn instead, then it's mate. His best move was taking the queen. But that's definitely one I'll have to open up on the analysis board and see how that looked. Maybe I was completely wrong, but I think every single move was forcing there. Let's see. Game and analyze. Make sure it shows up here correctly. Looks like it's showing up. That's it's really nice to turn it around after just like hanging the exchange, just leaving the knight there to be forked earlier. So you can see, good advantage, get a little behind, and then turn it around again. Had to win that one twice. Okay. Yeah, I should have just taken. It would have been simpler. I didn't consider knight to f5. That was my big mistake. Obviously, that's more of a blunder there, but Engine recommends queen to e6 there, but I thought this was quite good, forking the two pawns. I wonder what line it was looking at for each one. Because in mine it says c4. If you take, but then you could take with the knight. Okay, I see. And if you take with the bishop first after c4, and you come back, all right. Anyway, continuing. Yeah, I was baffled by this. I wonder if that was a mouse slip. That didn't make any sense. So the funny thing is, like, I know that's like a cheesy move, the knight move, playing for him to make a mistake and not spot the danger, but he didn't find the right answer. There's a mate in 4. What? Oh, what? What was the mate in 4? Well, now I wasn't looking at the engine, so now that we let's switch off so I don't see it. Let's see if I can calculate what the mate in 4 is. Um, I mean, like the queen over. Oh, if I check with the bishop, maybe. How does that turn into mate? Man, how does this turn into mate from that? I don't know. I need it to tell me. Okay, so queen h6 is correct. So it's a bishop g3. Oh, that prevents the escape. And there's nothing he can do? Yeah, there's nothing he can do. You can go rook f2, queen h2 check, mate. Okay, that would have been cleaner. Oh, f4. I didn't see f4, and neither did he. Alas, I did not see the best lines. Though he played the exact line I was looking at. And here there's actually a mate in two with bishop e5. Right, because he can't move. He can't move except for that, and then. Oh no, that's not the mate. Queen c6 is the mate. There were a lot of different combinations here that I didn't see, and he didn't see either. Uh, all right. Well, that's good for me for now. I'm still happy with that because able to see how it played out, even if it wasn't accurate. Uh, I am waiting on a anxiety book that's supposed to arrive today. Hopefully, can sort of follow along a little bit with all of this, but that'll have to be in a future stream to start that. I'm checking out. I'll see anyone watching later.